So as you may recall, recently I made a trip to Hamilton, Ontario to visit my favorite tropical bonsai store, Tropical Expressions. And after all the guesses, I'm ready to reveal what I purchased. First up, it's a ficus too little. I've wanted one of these ever since I saw one on Nigel's channel. And now I have my very own. My next purchase was a parrot's beak, or Melina. I saw one on the channel Dave's Bonsai, and I really liked it. In fact, if I had seen a Premna, I would have purchased one of those as well. Dave has great taste in some of these little tropicals. My next purchase was a desert rose. I already had one desert rose, but when I brought it in from outside in the fall, all of the leaves fell off after turning yellow, and I really thought that the thing had died. And I just set it aside, and I figured I'd purchase another one the next time I saw one at a good price. But after I brought this new one home, when I went to compost the old one, I saw that the old one actually was still alive. So now I have two. And my last purchase on the trip was a big Portulacaria afra. As you can probably tell, I have a little bit of an obsession with the Portulacarias. And when I saw this monster, I just had to have it. I know Zin's gonna think I'm crazy. I mean, look at the fat trunk and that movement to the left. I really gotta figure out how to take advantage of that when I style it. And just to give some indication of scale, here's one of my little cuttings. Now here's my original Portulacaria, which I thought was big at the time. And back in the spring, I got a few of these guys. I thought they were monsters. And now here is the big granddaddy of them all that I just picked up at Tropical Expressions. So on my previous trip, I had picked up a few things as well. First up is this tiger bark ficus. Now the only ones they had were in the lazy S's, so the first thing I did was chop it off and start over. So here it is today, and I also have a little natal plum, a cutting that so far seems to be doing well. Also on my previous visit, James picked out this Fukian tea, or as I call it, an effin' tea. It's just easier to say. We really liked that this one was more of a natural shape, and we could prune it eventually and make it exactly how we wanted versus pre-styled. And of course, you've already seen my Chinese Elm, which I also purchased on my previous trip. But I figured I'd give you a little update here so you could see what's happened since my last pruning. We have some new buds growing here on the side of the trunk, which is perfect because that's a little bit flat. I was hoping that a branch here would help to thicken the trunk. There's also a cute little bud there, and up top, everything is growing amazing, except this one branch. I chopped a little too deep with my new concave cutters. I I just wasn't used to them yet. So we're going to cut off this wire and start cutting back until we hit green. I'm sure the way this little guy recovers, we'll have a new branch in no time. And since we're on the topic of tropicals, I thought it'd be a great time to give you a little backyard bench tour. There's my tiger bark that we were just looking at. And here's the natal plum that I got from Vince in the club. I pruned it a little, and as you can see, it's growing back just great. There's the ficus too little that we just picked up. And it wouldn't be my bench without some Portulacaria. Here's one of the bigger Portulacarias that I was working on. When I potted it up, I noticed that it didn't really have a great root system. It appears to have been a large cutting, so it needed the crutches to help it stand up. Here's the tiger bark ficus that I got at the Toronto Bonsai Society trunk sale. This is the ficus that Zin gave me when James and I visited. Here's a ficus benjamina that I picked up at a local nursery. I potted it up, gave it a little bit of a trunk chop. These are a bunch of the cuttings off my larger Portulacarias. Sort of have a little bit of a forest going. You'd think that this large cutting was gonna survive, but eventually it started to sprout. And here's my original Portulacaria. And here's the tiger bark ficus that I also picked up at the Toronto Bonsai Society's trunk sale. This is a little money tree forest that I put together. It had been one of those braided ones that you find at the local big box stores. So I separated it and potted it up in a little forest style. Here's another one of my Portulacarias, what I used to think was a big one. These are the kumquats that I grew from seed. And here's a little Schefflera that my good friend Vince from the Toronto Club also gave to us. I potted it up in one of Ray's pots. And here's a little arrangement I made with some Portulacaria cuttings and one of the succulents that I had planned to use in a forest scenario. It's in a pot, handmade by David from the club. You've probably seen David on Nigel's channel. Now here's the little orange jasmine that I picked up on discount because it was having a bit of a rough time. Here's the Chinese elm cuttings I just did. So far they seem to be surviving. Keep your fingers crossed. here's my little mixed forest of the variegated and regular Portulacaria. And last but not least, we have James's willow leaf ficus, which he has at his mom's house right now.